Oh, hello, welcome. I'm Catfish Franklin, and this is the old Catfish Corner. And today's story is called Old News, featuring Stack Lee, Episode 13, The Flaccid Phantom Knife. But before I get to that, I just want to say thank you to you for stopping by here on YouTube, and thank my patrons over there on the old Patreon. You know about the Patreon. And the folks that have donated with the link below, the other link for Give Butter, which is just kind of like a buy me a coffee or something. So, today's story, Episode 13, The Flaccid Phantom Knife. And I do want to warn you, we are going to be reading some newspapers from 1895 involving black people who have committed crimes. So there's definitely going to be some mild, old-timey racist language in a couple times in these stories. But anyway, excuse me. What we're going to take a look at today is this strange situation where suddenly this thing comes up where they're claiming that Billy Lyons had a knife and brandished a knife of some sort. And we've already been through a lot here, and this is the first mention of a knife, and this is May 12th, 1897, and the murder happened December 25th, 1895, so this is like a year and a half on, and now there's these knife claims. So let's just get into it and see what we're looking at here. So our first story is May 12th, 1897, in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Lawyers try to fight in court. Governor Johnson and Oric C. Bishop quarrel. They used biting language. Governor Johnson objected to Mr. Bishop's attempt to impeach his own witness. Okay, so Governor Johnson, he is the lawyer for Stack Lee. Now, this is actually Stack's second trial and his second lawyer. That's a whole bizarre story on its own. His first lawyer, and I believe the first trial, his first lawyer was like a crack lawyer, and somehow it was like a mistrial or something like that, or a hung jury, or I don't know what the difference is, but I think it was a mistrial or something like that. So this is the second court situation. So Governor Johnson is Stack Lee's lawyer, and Oric C. Bishop is the lawyer for the state against Stack Lee. So here we go. Governor Charles P. Johnson and Oric C. Bishop quarreled during the trial of Lee Shelton, alias Stack Lee, in Judge Withrow's court Wednesday. They talked of fighting, and Attorney Bishop shoved the ex-governor. Governor Johnson is counsel for Shelton, and Mr. Bishop is special counsel for the state. The state put Henry Crum, a Negro, on the witness stand. His testimony was not what Mr. Bishop expected. The witness stated that he was at Bill Curtis's saloon on the night of the murder. He said Lyons drew a knife before Shelton attacked him. Mr. Bishop arose and drew from his pocket a statement signed by the witness. Mr. Bishop said he had been taken by surprise, and he desired to introduce the statement in order to impeach his witness. Governor Johnson objected. The jury was sent from the courtroom while counsel argued the proposition. Mr. Bishop said that the statement he had from the witness was obtained in the office of the circuit attorney during preparation for the former trial. Questions were propounded by Judge Zachritz, who at the time was circuit attorney, and by Mr. Bishop as assistant circuit attorney. The state, Mr. Bishop argued, had a perfect right to expect that he would testify the same when the case was tried as at the examination. He had been entrapped by the witness, and he wanted to impeach him with his own signed statement. Governor Johnson said the state could under no circumstances impeach its own witness. The statement should have no standing in any court, said Governor Johnson. It was not made under oath. The statement merely says the witness knows nothing about the case, and counsel for the state has no right to plead surprise. There are courts of record where these statements can be procured, first at the coroner's inquest, then in the court of criminal correction. The circuit attorney has no right to take a man in his private office and obtain a written statement to flaunt in his face in case his testimony should vary at the trial. The witness has a perfect right to say he knows nothing, and he need not tell the truth, for he's not under oath. Judge Withrow interposed the remark that morals were at a pretty low ebb if the governor's proposition was true. "We are not arguing morals," continued Governor Johnson. "When it is possible for sneaking detectives to pry around and obtain statements by fraud, it is time for men to be careful." Lawyer Bishop jumped angrily from his seat and exclaimed, "What do you mean by your insulting insinuation? Do you refer to myself or to Judge Zachrits?" "I referred to neither of you. I said detectives, not lawyers. But it was Mr. Zachrits and myself who obtained the statement, and not detectives. Your insinuation is a dishonorable one, and shows that you are deficient in manhood." "There was nothing personal in my remark," said Governor Johnson, "but if you are looking for a personal encounter, I will give it to you." Judge Withrow called for order, and a deputy sheriff stepped between the two lawyers. Mr. Bishop began an address to the court, showing why the signed statement should be admitted. Governor Johnson interrupted. Bishop walked angrily across the floor, and with great force caught Governor Johnson by the arm and pushed him from the bar. "Governor Johnson," he shouted, "do not forget yourself too far. I am addressing the court." Then he proceeded with his talk. Governor Johnson followed and said the courts would not sustain the contemptible methods resorted to by the counsel for the state to make a case. Judge Withrow said he had been lenient with the counsel and had heard all they had to say. "Now," said the court, "I will tell you what I think about it. I think the state's officials acted properly. If they had not secured the statement, they would have been neglectful of their duty. As it is, they are to be highly commended. I overrule the objection." The jury was brought in, and the trial was resumed. Crum was on the stand at noon, and the statement he made under oath was in favor of the defendant. Okay, that's the first one. So that's pretty weird. Let's go on to the second one here, and see what this one says. Now, this is the St. Louis Globe-Democrat, May 13th, 1897. So this is a day later. I think, right? The other one was the 12th. Yeah, this is the next day, St. Louis Globe-Democrat. Lawyers became excited. Governor Johnson and Mr. Bishop quarreled about a witness's testimony. Governor Charles P. Johnson and Attorney Oric Bishop had a lively tilt in Judge Withrow's court yesterday morning, and for a while it looked as though they would come to blows. It was during the trial of Lee Shelton, alias Stack Lee, charged with murder in the first degree. Shelton is being defended by Governor Johnson, while Mr. Bishop is special counsel for the state. Among the witnesses put on the stand yesterday by Mr. Bishop was Henry Crum. When he began to testify, he said that William Lyons was the aggressor in the fight and had drawn a knife before Shelton shot him. "We have been trapped," remarked Attorney Bishop as he jumped from his seat when he saw the way Crum was testifying. "I have a statement in my possession which was made by this witness and signed by him to the effect that no knife was drawn. The statement was made to me when I was assistant circuit attorney. I claim the privilege of impeaching my own witness." "I object to any such proceedings," replied Governor Johnson. "I claim that a man has the right to say what he pleases, especially after a lot of detectives have gotten a statement from him." "What's that?" exclaimed Bishop in a loud voice as he walked across the floor toward Governor Johnson. "What do you mean? Do you mean to say that Judge Zachrits or myself—" The lawyers stood still and looked at each other for fully a minute. Then they started to address the court, at the same time Governor Johnson throwing his right arm in all directions. "Governor," said Attorney Bishop as he placed his hand on Mr. Johnson's outstretched arm, "keep quiet a minute, please. I am now addressing the court." The sheriff, as well as the other officials of the court, expecting a fisticuff to follow the argument, moved toward the irate attorneys. Judge Withrow instructed the sheriff to rap for order. When quiet was restored, Governor Johnson's objection was overruled, and the trial resumed. Crum was not allowed to testify any further, and Governor Johnson noted exceptions to the ruling. So we can see that account is a little bit different, but it's mostly the same. It kind of seems like with these old newspaper reports, like the reporters kind of write down the quotes from memory, because, or maybe just bad notes or something, because they don't really exactly match up, but the general gist is there. Basically, Orrick, the attorney for the state, had this witness, Henry Crum, who had signed a statement saying that there had been no knife, meaning that Shelton could not claim self-defense. And then when he got on the stand, though, a lot later, he said that there was a knife. So that messed up Bishop's whole case, I guess. And Governor Johnson was over there loving it. So that's what we got there. So here we have May 14th, 1897, St. Louis Globe-Democrat. So this is the next day again. So let's see what this says. Now first, hopefully I've got an image of this up on the screen, but you can see in the photograph of this newspaper article, there's like a big rip right down the middle. But it's only like one or two small words wide, so sort of we can put it together. So I'm just going to read it as I think it goes. But you can make up your own mind. Lee Shelton gets 25 years. The jury of Lee Shelton, alias Stack Lee, colored, charged with murder in the first degree, turned a verdict of second-degree murder in Judge Withrow's court yesterday, and marked the punishment at 25 years in the penitentiary. The evidence was something in the morning, and the lasted 2 hours. The verdict, surprise, as the defense had proven by a Negro named Crum, a state's witness, that William Lyons had an open knife in his pocket when he went into Curtis's saloon, where the killing occurred, and that he made the remark that he expected to get into a fight with somebody. A motion for a new trial will be made in a few days by Governor Johnson, and if this is denied, the case will be carried to the Supreme Court. This was Shelton's second trial, the first one resulting in a mistrial. There we go. So, basically, he was convicted and sentenced to 25 years at the old state pen in Jeff City. And it appears that everyone was surprised because it seemed like everyone had accepted Crum's testimony of him having a knife. Now, this here says that he had an open knife in his pocket. This doesn't say that he pulled it out. So, let's see, do these other ones just say he had a knife, or what do they say here? That he had drawn a knife. Okay, so the Globe Democrat says that he had drawn a knife. Let's see what this one. He said Lyons drew a knife. Okay, and then this last one, after the sentencing, it says they proved that he had an open knife in his pocket. So they appealed it or something, but nothing must have come of it, because now here we are at October 7th, 1897, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Off for the penitentiary. 2 murderers and 11 robbers leave for Jefferson City. Deputy Sheriff Troll, our old buddy, Deputy Sheriff Troll, left for the penitentiary with the following prisoners Thursday: Frank Williams, murder, life. Lee Shelton, alias Stack Lee, murder, 25 years. Then it goes on to list some other folks, and that's all it says. So, the knife, it didn't work. The knife testimony, it didn't work. And strangely, let's go back to the original articles that describe the murder. There's 3 of them that I found. 2 of them on newspapers.com, and then one of them actually my associate C.D. Stelzer and I went to the downtown St. Louis library to look at the microfilm that they have of old newspapers, and that's where I found the St. Louis Star Sayings article, which other people have used that one, but it's not digitized, it doesn't seem like. So anyway, let's go back. I'm not going to read those whole articles because we already did that in episode 2, The Murder. And we're just going to read the parts that describe the murder to see what we can glean about this knife business. So, the first one, these are all from the day after Christmas, the day after the murder, 1895. So, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. They were drinking and arguing about politics. War was declared, and Lyons was shot in the abdomen. St. Louis Post-Dispatch. So, not much there. St. Louis Globe-Democrat. Both parties, it seems, had been drinking and were feeling in exuberant spirits. Lyons and Sheldon were friends and were talking together. The discussion drifted to politics, and an argument was started, the conclusion of which was that Lyons snatched Sheldon's hat from his head. The latter indignantly demanded its return. Lyons refused, and Sheldon drew his revolver and shot Lyons in the abdomen. So there it doesn't say anything about a knife. It just mentions Lyons taking Stack Lee's hat. And then we've also got this pretty cool quote here. When his victim fell to the floor, Sheldon took his hat from the hand of the wounded man and coolly walked away. That's stone cold is what that is, but I think that sentence right there may have to do just a little bit with maybe the myth that this guy would become. Also, you'll notice they say Sheldon. They hadn't really got his name squared away at this point. As we've discussed in episode 1, the alias, and they were saying Stagley, but it's Stackley, and just, it maybe in about a week after this, because there's many articles, they get it squared away, and it's overwhelmingly, and forever after this, he is known as Stackley and Lee Shelton with a T. So finally, the St. Louis Star Sayings, the one that I found on the microfilm. Let's see what this one says. The 2 Negroes had been in the saloon drinking and discussing politics all Wednesday evening. About 10 o'clock, they were rather intoxicated and began skylarking. Shelton snatched Lyons' hat and broke it. There was a dispute over this, during which Lyons threatened to kill Sheldon. The latter returned Lyons' hat, and then Lyons snatched Sheldon's. This caused a renewal of the argument, and it is said that Lyons was in the act of putting his hand in his pocket threateningly when Sheldon stepped back a few paces, drew a .44 caliber revolver, and fired. The bullet entered Lyons' stomach. So in this article, we have they call him Shelton, and then they also call him Sheldon. So we've got some sloppy work here. And we've also, check this out, we've also got this sentence a little bit later. Lyons fell to the floor, and Sheldon coolly took his hat out of the prostrate man's hand and walked out of the saloon. There we have that word coolly again. Just this image of him just as if nothing had happened, like a total psychopath, just taking his hat and walking right out after he just gut shot his friend, who allegedly maybe he wasn't dead by the time. Well, no, he wasn't dead yet. He went to the hospital after that and was alive until sometime in the early morning. But that's the story there. So in this one, it starts with Stack Lee taking Billy Lyons' hat and breaking it, which I guess just means smashing it, smashing the shape, something like that. But he eventually gave it back, and then when Lyons did the same thing, that made Stack Lee mad then, and then it is said Lyons put his hand in his pocket. It doesn't say a knife was seen or a gun. It's possibly kind of means like he possibly could have pulled out a gun. Drew a 44. Oh, and Stack drew his 44, blew him away, gut shot him. So there's no mention of a knife at all at the time until a year and a half later. Though possibly, maybe it is said, maybe people that on the scene were saying that. I mean, Crumb was apparently there. So, I don't know. It's all very confusing and we'll never really know. But you can see kind of the sloppy mess we're in here. We'll never really know. But that's that. Stack Lee at this point is why he's headed off to the state pen to serve 25 years for shooting Billy Lyons. That's where we're at with this thing now. And we're getting closer to the end. There's still some pretty interesting stuff ahead. So I think that's it. If you like this sort of thing, hit the buttons, check out my links. You know how it is. Super appreciate you stopping by. And, well, I'll see you next time.